starting. Hangout is live on air. Okay. I'm Rebecca Bradley. This is Crime Book Club, and the date is Wednesday, the 18th of June. I'm joined by Denise Kirkby, Margot, and Steph. And I'm having a mental block, so sorry. We're discussing this month How to Fall by Jane Casey. And you know, the only reason I'm having that mental block is Denise's name is on her is on her lower third. So we're discussing How to Fall by Jane Casey because we decided that June was going to be YA month. Has everybody read the book?
Yes.
Okay, what did you think?
I loved it.
I thought she did the voice of young people very, very well.
I really enjoyed it as well.
What did you think, Rebecca?
I enjoyed it, but I've really started enjoying YA fiction anyway.
Yeah, me too.
It seems to be my my little luxury when I'm not reading crime. I like to, in between crime, when I want a bit of a break, I tend to go to YA. So I did enjoy this. And I thought it would be something you'd enjoy as well, Denise.
Yeah, I really did. I think more and more now YA is my thing. I seem to have gone back to a second childhood or something, I don't know.
But see, the thing is, in my opinion, I think there's some excellent YA being put out there these days. I think people are really making a sincere effort to make YA novels gripping, readable, interesting. So it's little wonder there's more interest.
Well, it's not just about, they're not just children's books, they're young adults, and they cover all genres. It's not specific to a genre. I mean, we've read crime this month, but YA itself isn't genre specific, and they can cover some pretty heavy topics. I mean, this one, for instance, was death, stroke, murder, and I'm still not quite sure whether it was murder by the end of it. So there are some heavy topics covered, and there are a lot of crime YA being produced now, and I have noticed there are some. Jane's not the first adult crime writer to try YA either.
I agree. And people like Mark Haddon have gone the other way, haven't they? Started out writing YA sorts of things, and there are some things that people, for example, who think that The Curious Incident is YA, and some others who think it isn't.
Mm. Yeah. How did it compare to adult crime that you've read?
It was cleaner.
Mm.
It didn't make me feel soiled.
It was cleaner, I agree with you, but I think it was just as it dealt with subjects that are just as serious, don't you think? I mean, the bullying issue is quite literally deadly serious issue. And I think it
was also like little things I thought was clever about, you know, dealing with unacceptable touching and how difficult and awkward she found that to deal with that, because we forget that even though, you know, these are older teenagers, it's still an uncomfortable situation for them to be in. I suppose just as much as us as adults.
They're young people.
Yeah.
You know, they're not. They're technically legally adults, some of them, but that doesn't mean they're mature. They think they are. And by the way, I love the way that Justice's character sends that message. You know, she thinks she's mature, and in some ways she is.
Mm. Did you think that her voice was honest as a current teenager then?
I thought I thought she was overly confident, but maybe that's because I haven't met a teenager like her who was that confident in her own self-belief or her own self-worth, perhaps. So perhaps she was a very mature teenager. She was an only child, so she's likely to have been slightly more mature in her thinking for that reason.
You know, it's interesting you'd say that. I tried to compare her to my own daughter when she was that age. And on the one hand, I do see your point that she came off as more self-confident than people of that age usually are. On the other hand, she says it, and other people do throughout the novel. You're very sure of yourself. Her mother even says, her mom says, you're more confident than I was at your age. So I understand your point. I do see it. But at least Casey acknowledges it and kind of puts it there.
Yeah.
Do you think we can put that down maybe to the fact that she's grown up in a big city like London, whereas they were from a smaller seaside town?
No, I think it was just her unique as a character. I think it was just the way she was. And part of it was also enhancing how different she was from Freya, because I think that was important to the book as well.
Mm. And I think it's very interesting how some of the other characters treat Jess, thinking she'll respond the way Freya would have.
Yeah, yeah.
And talking of Freya, how do you think she was dealt with as a character that didn't exist, but she was there throughout the entire book? But she no longer existed. She was a memory within other characters' heads and hearts, but she wasn't actually a character within the book in the physical form.
But she was a full-fledged character. She really was.
She was.
Just rich and vibrant and alive as every other character. I just thought it was very clever writing.
I liked the way... Oh, I'm sorry.
Go on, you're all right. You first.
I thought it was fascinating the way the art was used to do just that.
I think the first chapter when we was introduced to Freya was quite harrowing. And I think if they hadn't had that in, we wouldn't have got to know her at all throughout the book. It had just been a memory, but that opened her up and made her a true person to me.
I love that first chapter, but that first chapter was very... it made it more of a crime novel for me, I think, having that kind of opening.
And didn't that first chapter make it more plausible that any of them could have done it?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't see it at all who it was going to be.
No, me neither.
I thought it had been one of the boys. Or the nasty guy, I can't remember what she called. The bully, Natasha, was she called?
Natasha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because I thought it was Anne, the policeman.
Yeah, what did you think of him?
I hated him.
Me too!
I wasn't keen, but I've been informed that he does grow on you in the follow-up books.
There's follow-up books?
There is a second book.
I read it on the Kindle. I got the Kindle version, and I was really surprised that there is a follow-on, and there was the first chapter or so after the book finished of the next book. So yes, it does continue.
I've got to buy it.
Yeah.
Me too. I got the paper version because the Kindle version isn't available in the States at the moment. And so I haven't had access to that first chapter, but I'm certainly keen. Certainly, there's a lot left loose
Love the story.
at the end, so it's quite easy to see how there'd be more story arcs and so on.
Yeah.
With Dan, I was confused because Jess's mum seemed like a really lovely person. So for her to not see any flaws within him at all, and to just see a really lovely bloke and be madly in love with him, but for us to only be shown such a nasty side, or from Jess's point of view, there was some contradiction. So I did think there had to be some middle ground there somewhere that we weren't seeing.
He's just so horrible to his son, though. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Resentful.
And it is, to me, it was plausible in a way, because when people do fall in love with somebody, when they are enamored, they do overlook faults, and sometimes not very rationally.
Yeah.
Well, but she didn't see all the stuff that we saw of how horrible he was to his son.
True. You know,
Absolutely right.
So
Yeah,
she
she
knew
knew him.
just remember the Dan that she was in love with.
yeah, she knew him before Will, didn't she?
Yeah.
He wasn't very pleasant.
You know, that poor boy needs twice the amount of love because his mum's dying. He should be getting more love than you would normally get from your father. It just really brought up all the things in me that I just can't bear when people act like that to children. So,
I think as much as Jess's mom loves her, I think she probably would be horrified if she knew. And maybe she will. Maybe that's going to be another story arc.
yeah. Should we add the second book in for later on in the year?
What, this book?
Yeah.
The second sequel to this, yeah.
You enjoyed it that much? You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put it up for the vote and see if it gets voted in again. Sorry, say that again, Steph.
Did you read any of the chapter what they put in the first book, Rebecca?
I didn't know.
I didn't read it.
No, I only finished it the night before last because, as usual, I leave it right until the last minute just to make sure that I've remembered everything in time for book club. So I do leave my reading late. Oh, you forgot Margot.
That's Mr. Me Too.
I remember him.
Yeah, but God forbid that I have a conversation that doesn't include him. He won't tolerate it.
No. They're strong personalities, aren't they? Were you satisfied with the ending?
Yeah. I would have been really cross if they hadn't, at least hugged or something at the end. I would have felt really let down by that, so I was really pleased.
Oh, the romantic part was lovely.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I thought that was done in a very genuine way for their ages, too.
It was lovely. What about the crime solving bit? Were you satisfied with that?
Do you know what I really liked about that? What it was Dan's one saving grace with me was when he put her in the ambulance.
Yes.
And she was in there. I love that. I didn't expect that, and I thought that was really cleverly put in there.
I like the way that she used that to make his character just a little deeper and more complex than we think.
Yeah.
Not that he doesn't have plenty of faults, we've agreed on that, but there's some reflective quality about that, I thought.
Yeah. It was
maybe he's a decent policeman.
Yeah, that too. You're right, Rebecca. That's a really good point, actually. No matter when it's all been said and done, he's a good cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you satisfied, Steph, with the ending?
Yes. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't guess at all how it was going to go, and it was a nice surprise that he was there to help her because he didn't come across very favourably at all.
Mm. Dan.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good scene with the ambulance. One of the other characters who was quite a big character in the book was Petra. No, not Petra, sorry, Darcy.
Hmm.
What did you think of Darcy?
You know, I didn't like her as a person very much, but I did have some sympathy for her in the sense that she's a little immature and she's caught in this very awful situation in this town. I don't, as I said, I didn't particularly like her, but I also did see how a person like her might feel quite trapped.
Yes, there was she just wanted to fit in.
And I think that's the way young people are. I think that's pretty realistic.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I thought she was really real.
Mm.
There's loads of kids like her, or teenagers like her. They're not kids, are they? But
To me, she was like the teenager who had to be part of the in crowd to exist rather than being her own self and having her own friends. She had to be part of that main crowd and she'd do whatever it took.
And this was touched on earlier when we first started, was the issue of bullying.
Yeah.
And that is something that is quite current, and a lot of teenagers face. And I felt it was dealt with really well, and I think Darcy was quite a clever way of showing how somebody who was initially comes across well and just likeable is susceptible to joining in something like bullying. And I thought it was a clever way of doing that. It's sad.
they were all very human, though, weren't they? Every single character in that book was very human. All of them were flawed in some way, and all of them had redeeming qualities. Even Dan, just the one small one, but you know.
Yeah, we'll give him that.
What did everyone think of Ryan's, talking of characters and their flaws and good qualities?
There's just so many boys like him out there, isn't there, though? He had to be in there. I thought he was very American, though. I kept forgetting I was reading about a British town. I kept thinking I was reading about a North American city. Or a town.
Yeah, I think because it was coastal and he was very sure of himself and there was the surfing, etc. I do agree. And all the girls were after him.
Yeah.
What did you think, Margot?
Of Ryan, I used to teach in a boys' secondary school, and I taught dozens of Ryans. Attractive to girls, or wanted to be. In his case, he is. Image is very important. Put on self-confidence. But you can tell with boys like him that the confidence doesn't go very deep. Because I think, I don't know, he just resonated with me. But I think there is a really good point to the fact that he seemed very North American. I wondered about that myself. I wondered where that came from.
Yeah, he did. But he was, I think he was another character that was done well because of the background as well, the lead background that came with him.
Yeah. Perhaps his childhood experiences made him what he was as a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's true of a lot of the characters, though. You know, when you look at some of the other ones, you see how they've been affected by things that happen to them. I mean, I don't think it's overdone, but I think it's definitely there.
Yeah.
But one character that maybe wasn't as led, Natasha. Did anybody see anything in her that was redeeming at all?
Yeah, I did, because she genuinely loved Ryan. Not the idea of him, she genuinely loved him as a person. And I think there's more there to that story as well, that if there's another book, perhaps we're going to find out. And also, when they were talking, and they kind of, agreed that yes, Ryan really was a nice person together, Jess and Natasha, I quite liked how she still refused to be nice to Jess, though. She'd like split the term for like 2 sentences, and she stopped. That made me giggle.
Yeah.
The author was really tight with her writing, she never let anything slip. It was very
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah. It was very tight.
The thing that I felt, in a sense, I felt a little bit of compassion for Natasha despite everything, because she was so afraid. She would never have admitted it, but she was so afraid of losing her identity, although she was anyway because of her feelings for Ryan.
Yeah.
I did have some compassion for her. And I thought, okay, she's one of the antagonists in the novel. She's a bully. She's this, she's that, she's the other thing. But I think her character is used quite well to show kind of why bullies, a little of why bullies do what they do. Because they're so afraid. Doesn't help the victim. It's an interesting side of that.
Yeah, she was afraid of losing him. So can we enjoy a YA novel as adults, or is it targeted only at young adults, teenagers?
I think we might identify with it. Sorry, Steph.
Go on, you're alright.
I just thought we might identify with it differently as adults. I think I would have read a whole different book, even if it was the same book, as a teenager.
Yeah, she got different things out of it.
Yeah.
And what were you going to say?
We recently read a YA novel. We both read it. And it was a completely different novel to the two of us. We both thoroughly enjoyed it. A really good novel. But it was a completely different book to the pair of us. It was amazing. It was a really interesting experiment.
Who did you read that with, sorry?
With TJ.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, because he's young, but he's got a really high reading age, and so he can read. And it was really interesting how different the book was to us and what it meant to both of us.
Yeah, I can imagine. What about you, Steph? What were you going to say?
I think there's no reason at all why you can't enjoy a YA book just like any other book. I've only read about 4 or 5. The biggest and the most strongest effect to me was Book Thief, which I wouldn't even think of as being YA, but that's where it was targeted at. But I've enjoyed every one I've read, so I'll just carry on reading them.
Yeah. Well, I am going to see The Fault in Our Stars, actually, when it comes out next week.
Oh, I can't. I got a chapter into it and thought, oh no, it's about children dying, and I had to put it down.
You would stop buckets at it, but it's a brilliant book.
No.
You would love it. You really would love it. You would cry, but you'd love it.
My friend made me read P.S. I Love You, I've never forgiven her. Cried for months.
Oh, I like a good cry at a
No.
book.
I think that's an interesting question in and of itself, really, is what things are we unwilling to read about? Even if a book is brilliant, what topics or issues do we really find too difficult to handle? For example, I don't care how brilliant a book is, I find it almost impossible to read novels where animals are hurt. I'm sorry, it's one of my things.
Mm.
Mm.
I think that's happens with a lot of people. They'll see people murdered in books, but they hate it when animals are injured and hurt. And that's really strange, but it happens, and I think I'm the same as well. The murder count can be really high in a book, but an animal gets included, and I'm like, oh.
No! I even self-censor, which as somebody who loves crime fiction and wants to understand it better, I shouldn't do that. But on one hand, but I think we all have those buttons. I find it incredibly difficult to read books where children are hurt as well. You know, it's just really hard.
Yeah, it is. And I think as we go along with the book club, we're all going to find things that we come across that we do and don't like. Because we're hopefully going to read quite a varied range of books. Though next month we're reading just the average best crime novel of the year, so just your average book. Does anybody want to say anything else about How to Fall?
I wouldn't have bought it if it hadn't been a book club book, because it had a young girl, and I thought it's going to be about a young girl dying, and I'm not going to like it, it's going to upset me, and I would never have bought it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really well done.
Yeah, I thought it was well done as well. So it was a book club hit
Yes.
this month.
It was with me.
Brilliant. I don't think everybody's voted for next month. You have, Margot. Have you? Let me just have a look. Have you voted, Denise?
Yeah, I voted. We had a chat about it.
Right, just bear with me. I don't think it's written down. I do know who you voted for, but I'm not sure it's written down, so let me just check.
Oh, I think I emailed it instead of putting it on the website this time, that's why.
Yeah, I know who you voted for. And Steph, you haven't voted yet. Do you know what the choices are?
Is it Belinda Bauer, Ellie Griffith, and Peter May?
Yeah.
Yeah, I voted for Ellie Griffith when you had the long list up. But I'll read any. I've never read any of Peter May's before, or Ellie Griffith, so.
Peter May's amazing.
Yes.
No pressure, but you know.
No pressure.
I'll read any.
Okay, if you went with
Ellie Griffith.
Say that again.
Ellie Griffith.
Ellie Griffiths, right.
Yeah.
Okay. The winner is The Chessman by Peter May.
Hooray!
I was going to say, if you went with Ellie Griffiths or Peter May was going to win.
The vote was rigged.
It wasn't. It was just Rubbernecker only had one vote.
I'm goofing.
So, and I think that was you, wasn't it, Margot?
Yes, but I'm used to voting the opposite of everyone, so that's fine.
I've read Rubbernecker. It is just strange.
I haven't read it, but I've got it, so I do want to read it.
It is very
Um,
strange. It's worth reading.
Yeah, I do want to read it.
Will you ever recycle some of the books that went up but didn't get chosen? Like, say, next year, would we have the chance at voting for ones? Because there's quite often there's been a few books in a month that I was interested in, and
Yeah,
I'd like to do that.
would you?
Yeah, because I agree with Denise. There have been a couple of times when there's been a list, and I've thought, well, my vote's this way, but I want that one too.
Because I've created a list of the 3 books that I've put up, and I'm trying not to put the same books up twice because I don't want to be repetitive. But if you're happy for some books to reappear, then I'll not be as concerned about doing that then.
Well, perhaps we could have a jumble month when you put in all the books that didn't get picked and get a random
That's a good
generator
idea.
of 3 or something, and have a month where there's no theme.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe a jumble month or 2 per year, so it's not repetitive, but we still get the chance.
Yeah. Jumbled month. I'll remember what that means. Honest. Okay, so we've got The Chessmen by Peter Maythorpe next month. That's Wednesday the 16th of July, so it's fairly early one next month. 8 p.m. GMT. 16th.
Yeah, I might not be here for that one.
Oh no, when you want that Peter Maythorpe as well. Oh no.
So, if we're going out for supper, I can't go. Actually, I can't go for supper because I've got to go to book club.
Can't you go out the day after? It's your birthday.
The day after is your birthday.
No, it's not. No, postpone your birthday.
No.
The book club. Okay, so that was another good month, and hopefully we'll have another one next month. Even if Denise can't make it because she's too busy drinking alcohol.
And you're not even sharing with us, Denise? Really?
I know.
You have to come over here. If you all came down here, you could all come out too.
Yeah, we could have a book club with alcohol down there.
Yeah, we could do a live one.
Oh yeah.
Like really live. Come on, Margot, you can fly.
We could fly Margot over, couldn't we?
I was just there, and quite frankly, 22 hours in the air in a given month is enough for me. Thank you very much.
I know. I can't believe you were here, Margot. But,
Well, sometimes I would love to have an in-person club. I know it would be ridiculous in terms of logistics, but wouldn't it be fun?
yes, it would. But this is so easy for everybody because nobody has to leave home, and it's hopefully will grow. People will hear about it, and they can just sit at the desks and sit in the chairs and do it, can't they?
There's lots of interest about it. I'm not sure why people don't then come along to it. I think perhaps some people are a bit nervous about
the technology.
Yeah, and I think as G+ becomes more popular, people will feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think also some people may think, well, one has to be invited by a member, or some clubs are like that. I think that the more people realize that it's anyone welcome, you don't even have to have read the book if you want to just come and sit in and see what it's like,
Yeah.
I think that's a little of it too. But, I agree. The word is getting out slowly but surely.
It is, definitely. So hopefully here's to another good month next month.
All right. Get some
All
rest.
right. Thank you, everyone. See you next month.
Bye.
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 Bye.